Florida is known for its beaches, sunshine, and theme parks, but behind the beauty, there's a darker side filled with chilling ghost stories and haunted places. Many places across the state are believed to be haunted by restless spirits, tragic pasts, and strange sightings that still scare visitors today. There are some haunted places in Florida that will give you goosebumps. Number 1. The Devil's Chair in Cassadaga, Florida, is one of the creepiest and most talked about haunted spots in the state. Located inside the Lake Helen Cassadaga Cemetery, the chair looks like an ordinary stone bench. But locals believe it's far from normal. Some say it's cursed, others say it's a portal, and many believe that if you sit in the chair at night, you might come face to face with something not from this world. The stories that surround the Devil's Chair have been shared for decades, and they only get more chilling with time. One of the most popular legends says that if you leave an unopened can of beer on the chair at night, it will be empty by morning, even if it's never been opened. Many have tested this, and some even swear they heard the sound of someone drinking while no one was around. It's believed this strange behavior is tied to a spirit that haunts the chair. Some say it's the devil himself. Others say it's the ghost of a grieving widower who used to sit there every day. Another scary story involves a teenage boy who sat in the chair alone one Halloween night. When he stood up, he felt sharp pain on his back. Later, his friends saw deep scratch marks as if something unseen had clawed him. Visitors have also reported hearing whispers around the chair, even when they are completely alone. One woman claimed she heard her name being called, softly at first, and then louder, coming from the direction of the chair. She ran out of the cemetery and never returned. Several visitors who tried to take pictures of the chair said their phones glitched or the photos vanished. Others saw strange figures appear in their pictures, figures they hadn't seen with their own eyes. Number 2. Fort East Martello in Key West, Florida, may look like just another old Civil War fort, but many people believe it's one of the most haunted places in the state. Built in the 1860s to defend against attacks during the war, the fort was never fully finished. Over the years, it has served many purposes, including being a museum. But behind its thick stone walls and cannon-lined walkways, strange and spooky things have happened. The most famous ghost there is not even a person, but a doll named Robert. Robert the doll is the centerpiece of the hauntings at Fort East Martello. He once belonged to a boy named Robert Eugene Otto in the early 1900s. People say the doll was cursed and moved on its own, changed facial expressions, and even whispered to its owners. Today, Robert sits in a glass case at the museum, and strange things still happen. Visitors who take pictures without asking often report their cameras breaking, getting sick, or having accidents shortly after. One museum worker reported hearing giggles when locking up for the night, only to find Robert's chair slightly turned away from its original position. The security footage later showed the chair move by itself. One eerie story comes from a woman who visited with her children. Her young daughter suddenly started crying and pointed at a corner of the room, saying, "That man is staring at me." But no one else was there. Number 3. The May Stringer House in Brooksville, Florida, is a beautiful Victorian-style home with a dark and emotional past. Built in the mid-1800s, the house has seen war, loss, and tragedy. Today, it serves as a museum, but many believe the spirits of those who once lived there still remain. The most well-known ghost is that of a little girl named Jessie May, whose spirit is said to still linger in her childhood bedroom. Jessie May was the daughter of Marena May Stringer. The young girl died of tuberculosis at just 3 years old, and her mother was said to be heartbroken. Marena later died while giving birth to another child who also did not survive. Guests often hear Jessie May laughing or crying in her old room, and toys are found moved around without explanation. Some have even seen a small figure looking out the upstairs window. A visitor once reported feeling someone tug on their coat while walking near the staircase, only to turn around and find no one there. Moments later, a faint giggle echoed through the hallway. There's also the spirit of a woman seen weeping near the windows. Some say it's Marena herself, still mourning the loss of her children. One museum worker claimed to see her reflection in the mirror even though the room was empty. One chilling story involves sudden cold spots in the attic, where old hospital equipment is displayed. People say they feel like someone is watching them or breathing down their neck. Number 4. Bellamy Bridge in Marianna, Florida, is one of the most haunted places in the state, and its ghost stories go back nearly 200 years. The bridge is hidden deep in the woods and surrounded by thick trees and swampy land, which gives it an eerie feeling even before the ghost tales begin. People from all over come here to find out if the legends are true, and many leave with a spooky story of their own. The most famous ghost is that of Elizabeth Jane Bellamy, a young bride who tragically died in 1837. Some say she caught fire when her wedding dress brushed a candle. Others say she died of yellow fever shortly after her wedding. Heartbroken and full of sorrow, her spirit is believed to haunt the area near the bridge, still dressed in white, searching for her husband. One visitor reported seeing a glowing white figure hovering just above the water late at night. As they got closer, it slowly disappeared into the mist, leaving behind a strange chill in the air. Another story comes from a group of teenagers who went to the bridge at midnight to try and see the ghost. They claimed their flashlight batteries drained all at once, and one of them saw a pale woman standing in the woods. When they turned to run, they heard a voice whisper, "Don't leave me." Number 5. The Vinoy Renaissance Hotel in St. Petersburg, Florida, is a stunning and historic hotel that has been serving guests since 1925. With its pink Mediterranean Revival architecture and views of the waterfront, it looks like a peaceful place for a relaxing stay. But behind the beauty of this luxury hotel lies a spooky side. The Vinoy has long been rumored to be haunted, and some people believe that spirits from the past still roam its elegant halls and guest rooms today. One of the most well-known ghost stories at the Vinoy comes from baseball players who stayed there. A few players from Major League Baseball teams have shared chilling experiences, including seeing a shadowy man standing at the foot of their bed. One even said the figure vanished when he turned on the light, but the cold feeling in the room stayed. Another story involves room 409, where guests have claimed their bathroom lights turned on and off by themselves, and their belongings were moved when no one else was in the room. One woman woke up to find her suitcase unzipped and clothes spread across the floor, even though she had packed everything the night before. A guest once reported hearing loud knocking on her door in the early hours of the morning. When she opened it, no one was there. This happened 2 more times, and when she complained to the front desk, they told her no one was on that floor besides her. The Vinoy may be a place of elegance and comfort, but for many, it's also a place where spirits from the past still wander. Number 6. The old city gates in St. Augustine, Florida, are more than just a piece of history. Built in 1808, these gates once served as the only official entrance to the city. They were built to protect St. Augustine from attacks, and many soldiers once stood guard there. Over time, the area saw war, sickness, and death. People believe that the pain and loss from those times left behind a deep spiritual energy that still lingers around the gates today. One of the most famous ghost stories is about a little girl named Elizabeth. She died during a yellow fever outbreak in the 1800s. People say she still roams the gates wearing a white dress and often greets visitors with a soft hello. Some say she disappears right after speaking, while others have captured her ghostly figure in photos. There are also tales of strange lights floating near the gates. Some say they've seen glowing orbs rise from the ground or drift slowly across the street. Ghost hunters believe these lights could be spirits trying to make contact. One chilling story comes from a woman who said she felt someone grab her hand while walking through the gates. She thought it was her son, but he was several steps behind her. When she looked down, no one was there, but she could still feel the cold touch. Number 7. Greenwood Cemetery in Orlando, Florida, is a peaceful resting place by day, but many believe it turns into something much more mysterious and spooky at night. Founded in the late 1800s, This historic cemetery is the final resting place for many important figures from Orlando's past, including veterans, city founders, and everyday people. Some say the energy from so many different lives has left behind ghostly spirits that still wander the grounds. One of the most well-known stories is about 4 small graves known as the Babyland section. Visitors often report hearing the soft sound of children laughing or crying when no one is around. Some have seen toys move on their own or roll across the grass as if pushed by invisible hands. Another chilling story comes from a local jogger who swears she saw a woman in a long, white dress walking near the Confederate section. When she called out, the figure faded into the trees. Later, she learned that a grieving widow used to visit that area daily after her husband's death. Many say that near the old mausoleums, cold spots can be felt even on hot summer nights. A groundskeeper once said he felt someone tap him on the shoulder, but no one was there. When he turned around, he saw a shadow disappear into the wall. A woman visiting a loved one's grave claimed she heard whispering voices behind her, though she was completely alone. She said the whispers grew louder as she stood still, but stopped the moment she began walking away. Greenwood Cemetery may look quiet, but those who visit often say the spirits of Orlando's past are still very much present, watching, whispering, and reminding us that some stories never truly end. Number 8. The St. Augustine Lighthouse in St. Augustine, Florida, is known for its stunning coastal views. Built in the 1800s, this historic lighthouse has seen many tragic events over the years. These real-life tragedies have left behind a chilling energy that many believe still lingers in the halls, stairs, and surrounding grounds of the lighthouse today. One of the most well-known ghost stories is about the P.T. sisters, Eliza, Mary, and a young African-American girl whose name is not recorded. In 1873, while playing near the construction site, the children rode a cart used to carry materials. Sadly, the cart broke free and slid into the water, trapping and drowning the girls. Since then, many visitors and workers have reported hearing children's laughter echoing through the lighthouse. Some have even seen the figures of young girls in old-fashioned clothing running up and down the spiral staircase. Another spooky story involves the ghost of a former lighthouse keeper. He fell to his death while painting the tower and is believed to still watch over the property. People have claimed to smell cigar smoke even when no one nearby is smoking. Others have reported shadowy figures at the top of the lighthouse, especially at night, when no one is supposed to be up there. There's also a story about footsteps being heard on the metal stairs when no one is around. Tour guides have shared that even when they lock up for the night, they hear the clanging of boots as if someone is climbing the stairs. These strange happenings have turned the St. Augustine Lighthouse into a hot spot for ghost hunters and brave visitors looking for real paranormal encounters. Number 9. Ashley's Restaurant in Rockledge, Florida, is not only known for its delicious food and cozy setting, but also for being one of the most haunted restaurants in the state. Built in the 1930s, the building has a long and mysterious past. Over the years, many people have reported strange things happening inside, things that can't easily be explained. Some believe these events are linked to a young woman named Ethel Allen, whose tragic death still haunts the restaurant today. Ethel was a beautiful 19-year-old who was last seen alive at Ashley's in the 1930s. Her body was later found near the Indian River, badly beaten. Her murder was never solved, and many believe her spirit still lingers, searching for justice. Workers and guests alike say they've seen her ghost in mirrors, floating in hallways, or sitting at the bar before vanishing into thin air. One former waitress said she was cleaning up late at night when she saw a woman in old-fashioned clothes walking through the dining room. When she called out, the woman disappeared right in front of her eyes. She quit her job shortly after. One couple celebrating an anniversary saw a shadowy figure standing near their table. Thinking it was a server, they turned to speak, but no one was there. They left their meal unfinished after hearing whispering voices all around them. There's also a tale from a cook who worked in the kitchen. He said pots and pans would fall for no reason, and once he saw a figure dart across the room out of the corner of his eye. When he went to check, nothing was there. Even today, Ashley's restaurant continues to be a place where good food meets ghostly encounters, making it a favorite stop for those curious about the paranormal. Number 10. Hotel Cassadaga in Cassadaga, Florida, is a mysterious and spiritual place that has gained a reputation as one of the most haunted hotels in the state. Located in a town known as the psychic capital of the world, the hotel was built in 1927 and has long attracted mediums, spiritual healers, and people curious about the afterlife. While many visit the hotel for peace and spiritual growth, others have left with spooky stories that suggest not all the spirits there are friendly. One of the most talked about stories is about a ghostly little girl who roams the hallways. Guests have reported seeing a child skipping through the halls late at night. Some have even heard her humming or giggling, but when they go to look, no child is there. Another story comes from people who have stayed in room 22. They say the lights flicker, the phone rings with no one on the line, and some even feel like they're being watched. One guest said their bedsheets were pulled off in the middle of the night by invisible hands. A medium who once visited the hotel said she felt overwhelmed by the number of spirits there. She claimed one spirit kept whispering in her ear, asking for help to cross over. Even guests without psychic abilities say they felt someone touch their shoulder or brush past them when no one was near.